Morning, everybody. This morning I am going to do instructions on how to access the halls of a mentee. That's the halls of the gods, where you can meet your particular god and ask information. So it starts off the same way, and the access point is through the lower world. So first you start off by creating a portal. I use a water portal. Some people might use a rabbit hole. Some people might use a tunnel. It's usually quite difficult sometimes to access, and you have to keep trying again and again to access. I literally tried for years and had all but given up. And during meditation with someone else, a very advanced spiritual man who's a Hindu, I gained access and found myself dragged underwater and handed a crystal by Shiva, which was celestinite, which I then used, pictured myself jumping from a small boat into the water and then sinking down. So if you'd like to go ahead and do that, and then at the bottom of the sea or river water that you're in, lagoon, to find a portal. Now, if somebody takes you with them, on a journey, there's no point in trying to access their portal. You need to make your own, because Spirit is guiding you. Spirit has the message for you where you're at right now. So once you've created your water portal, it might lead down to a tunnel. It might lead to a door and a rock. I use a portal. This is what I was shown by Shiva. So once I reach the bottom of the water, I would then use the palm of my hand. Now, the palm of your hand is where you have chakras, so it can be read by Spirit. So though you might hold up your hand and not see anything, it does have your own sigil on the palm of your hand that can be recognized by Spirit. So I lock my portal with my sigil. Then when I return, I need to press upon my hand as a key, and you can do likewise. And then I will open my portal and jump down into what I call a crystalline lift, which will go through the center of the earth. Now, there are many different ways to get down. You can climb down on a rope. You can get down via a ladder. Spirit will tell you when you have your eyes closed. You could put on a drumming tape if you wish. I've never got anywhere with drumming music. You can put on one of the tapes from that lovely YouTube. I think it's called Divine Mastery. So that is good. They do a lot of stuff with the violet fire. The violet fire is, of course, in the lower world. You can encounter it as you go down through the earth and find yourself falling. I normally end up in one of the caves of Shiva. Shiva is my patron. And through there I come out into the lower world and will access my power animal. My power animal will be there waiting for me and will inform me about what I need to do, where I need to go. Today we're going to visit the halls of a mentee together, and I'm going to show you how you get information from there. So your power animal, once you start making friends with it in the lower world, you'll find it appears to you during the day, and you can have some interactions with it, and it can guide you. You can call on it. You can really do a lot with your power animal. But do remember, the power animal is a shape-shifting jinn. So you have to literally tame it. It can oscillate between goodness and badness. So you can't literally give away your power to the power animal. That would be a little silly. You have to, it is basically in animal form, and that's for a reason. You have to tame it. You have to learn the language it speaks. You have to learn how it reacts to you and how you are. If you're operating from a place of negativity and hate, it will soak that up. So it's a subject in itself, power animals. Mine for a long time has been a black panther or a jaguar. I'm not sure, it's a big black cat, and I'm guessing panther, but might be a jaguar. Again, I haven't been to a zoo to kind of work out which it is. It seems to sometimes go smaller, often really big. I call it a name. And before that, it was a wolf. And I really enjoyed having a wolf as a power animal. I literally went and got prints, put them on the walls of my bedroom, and felt as if I was in the center of a den. I literally felt incredibly protected by that energy. But hasn't the wolf energy hasn't appeared to me for a long, long time. It does tend to appear when you're under attack, but all power animals serve their own purpose. So anyway, there we are in the lower world. So I allow my power animal to lead me. At this point, I will go through the feet of the Buddha and journey into the heart of the Buddha. There I will drink the golden elixir and have the access to the lower world spread out before me, and I will journey on a cable car into Shambhala, which is a entrance again that has its match in the physical world. So that is out there in Tibet. As you listeners know, Madame Blavatsky went looking for Shambhala. The Shambhala 100% exists on the Astral for anybody to go and visit whenever they wish. So there it is in the mountains. You can access it via a cable car via the lower world and enter into Shambhala, which is inside a snowy mountain top, which is the astral equivalent of its physical manifestation on Earth out there in Tibet. So after going inside the mountain, we will then descend through a crater and jump down into the halls of Amenti, which is a garden that leads to the halls of Amenti. So you can walk around that garden, pick fruit. There's a place there where you can literally sit and soak up creativity, which is the abundance of God, and just let it soak into you. If you're feeling depleted or if you're feeling you're not being creative, this is a very exciting energy to feel, because God itself is abundance. God itself is creative energy. So it's really nice feeling to feel that, because often in the third density on planet Earth, you can't feel that. And that is for a reason. We've been cut off from that energy. We've been cut off from that abundance. That's why a lot of us aren't creating, and we are not manifesting in our lives because of sensitivity to the matrix. So it's great to get outside the matrix and feel that feeling, let it wash over you, your chakras. And then you'll notice in the garden there is a jagged crystal. And what I do, I go and sit on the jagged crystal, I let it spin anti-clockwise, and then I will feel it slightly lower into the ground, and that will open up into the halls of Amenti. Now this is a very interesting place. Obviously we are just at the edge of it. This is what happens when you travel to different realms, that it will let you in at the edge. Only when you've proven yourself. They send tests into the 3D. They send tests. They send you all manner of tests that you carry out before they let you go any further. So this can literally take years, and it's taken me years to explore the different realms. Literally, it's endless. So this is something that doesn't happen overnight. So coming into the halls of Amenti, you'll find that this is a very, very crystalline area. It's very, very pure. And then you get a chance to sit at a table just at the very entrance of that world. And you can sit there and call on your higher gods, and they will then appear to you, and you can sit opposite them and ask them questions. Now, I was doing this the other night, and I was asking questions about my beginning. I was put into an orphanage from the very beginning, and because there were so many children, I didn't get adopted straight away, and stayed in this orphanage. And then I was passed, of course, to a man who was a paedophile, a woman who was very violent, and they were a couple of first cousins linked to the church. Now, I know that going back to that point, because it's so unusual, that was witchcraft carried out on me. And so I will go into the halls of Amente, and I will ask for some black light. I will ask for my God to appear. Then I will interact with it, and then I will ask for some black light. The black light is normally, the black light illuminates everything, and the black light will be passed to you in a test tube. If you can see it, if you have astral sight, astral conscious, you can see it. It will be in a test tube, black liquid, and it will be smoking. What you do with that is pour it in front of you, and it will form a black mirror. And in the mirror, if you let it solidify, then hold it up, the mirror will show you, will give you access to whatever you need access to see. A lot of our lives we cannot see. People are doing this and that against us, and we cannot see. My first question was that somebody moves against me, and which obviously is the whole thing with the press, my former life as a journalist, and I feel them moving against me, and I wanted to know who. So I was given that information. Obviously, I know the basic characters, but I feel it's racked up a notch and gone international. So that was shown to me, which interests me. You can then, if you don't know it, you can ask the god that you're interacting with, and it might well be Anunnaki you're interacting with, but it hardly matters. But they have more power than we do, more insight than we do, and are more intelligent. So while you're not interacting with Creator God, you are going to be interacting with a God who is aware of who you are. So they won't be anti you as long as you don't mean anything bad in the universe. So once you've seen something, you can then ask that God, how do I deal with this? Or you can say to that God, can you deal with this for me? So moving forward, I then wish to look in the black mirror to learn about my childhood. I believe that somebody at that point put a curse on me, 100%, to go into a situation as an orphan. You've already been rejected by this individual, I won't say mother, it makes a joke of the word, and by their kinfolk. So you've been literally cast out by your kinfolk. That's what adoption is. People dress it up and use excuses, say, oh, what a wonderful thing, to cover their guilty conscience about adoption. It is leaving a child at the risk of paedophilia, of abuse, of slavery, of all kinds of things. This is a very cruel world we live in at the moment, a really cruel world. A baby should not be left alone in it. So there I was in that very vulnerable position, and to be handed to these two first cousins. He was 10 years older, so he's literally telling the world he's a paedophile, and this woman who was deranged, empty. And that's not just bad luck, that's deliberate. And I believe that perhaps there was a curse, perhaps from my original so-called blood kin. And so I wanted to ask the Black Mirror this. So I asked it, and then I saw the face of Valerie. Valerie was a woman in St. Joseph's, the children's home, where I was discarded into. And I remember Valerie because we went back for parties every year, which is very, very painful that an orphan has been adopted and then they're brought back every year to the orphanage and interact with the kids that haven't been chosen. It's incredibly painful, incredibly scary, especially as my mother used to say, you haven't been good, we're going to leave you there and swap you for a better child. I found it very, very painful. And Valerie was always there. Now, I've tried to find out who Valerie is, and oh, I think we're stuck. No, we're not. I've tried to find out who Valerie is, and got a black wall, actually. St. Joseph's is run by Carmelites, and the most vicious, and she didn't wear a headdress. My aunt was from the Daughters of St. Paul, and she wore a very long traditional garb. I believe that I was passed to my parents because of that. But having dealings with the orphanage recently, or the Catholic Children's Society, I have been told that my parents applied for a girl. I was told that it was on a visit to the orphanage that Valerie passed me to them. Now, I more believe that story. It's more likely than them applying. My adoptive mother told me this story, and it rings true. And so I looked in the Black Mirror, and I was told that Valerie, because I was conceived from an Irish man. My so-called mother was a schoolgirl prostitute. She would sleep with all the street for spare change. And my father, I believe, it could have been anybody, but it was definitely from these road menders. So there was Irish, and she knew that. That's all written over my records. And it was the Irishness that did for me. She believed the Irishness was dirty and evil, and wanted to punish me, to expunge the Irishness. So had I been English, it wouldn't have happened. And so what happened, I was given to this couple, and they abused me. So it was Valerie that did it. And then I looked into that further, and throughout, I looked back, and she was looking at my father, and my father had a very sexy, gamey look in his eyes. Literally, he would glint all the time. He looked at me like that every day of my childhood, like I was something in a dirty magazine. She noted his glint and noted that he was a sex addict, and that I would be worse off there, so passed me deliberately to them. I suppose that's a prejudice, almost like hating foreign people, to hate Irish, to do that. And she noticed my mother was empty, and that would be a good house for a demon. And there was other stuff that went on. As I looked into the Black Mirror, I saw that this demon came into my mother and would whip me and beat me, and she sexually abused me in a very ritualistic way every night. She called it, I won't go into details, but needless to say, my sexuality didn't survive that onslaught of so many adults feeding off it as a child. So this demon came into my mother and made sure I was shattered, and then I became of use to the cabal. So they basically harnessed my psychic abilities for a long time. I think that's a classic monarch. And then I was looking at this, and then I looked at my life, and then I got roped into the whole media thing. And that was who I was basically sold onto. And then I got to the age 19, and I saw that actually that life had absolutely nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. As I was sitting there bathed in the most profound self-pity, I was told by the Black Mirror that that's not your life though. And I was a walk-in at age 19. I've written about it in my Sunday Times bestseller, published by Hodder and Stoughton. It's very fashionable these days to talk about walk-ins. Back then it most certainly wasn't. And I detail how it happened to me. I believe there are lots of walk-ins coming back now. And also people have said some of the greys are walking in. So this is a phenomenon that's happening as people see ahead and opt out. And I don't blame them, because the age is growing really dark and we're going to go into really choppy waters. But anyway, I was told by the Black Mirror that that wasn't my life I was bathing in self-pity over, and that I had walked in at age 19, perhaps slightly older, I can't recall exactly now. No, it might have been 21, 22. But it wasn't my life. I'd basically come from World War II, and where I had been a soldier in the Third Reich and operating at Velversberg Castle and opening portals. That's my thing, to open portals. And we had been carrying out experiments and drawing down entities into Velversberg Castle. And we had opened a portal to time travel. I had basically come out of the physical and hadn't come back, and then bumped into, literally quantum jumped or bumped into this lifetime and became Christine. So, and lived a life as, as her. This is how walk-ins operate. They have the life of the person, even they know that they've jumped into it. I didn't have memory of where I'd come from until 2016. Actually, I was listening to James Casbolt talking to Max Spears on, I think it was just before the Kerry Cassidy interview in that hotel, and suddenly I felt a pressure on my third eye, and then I was recovering in a boxing ring and realised I was in a camp, and asked somebody where I was, and they said Treblinka, and I was an officer. I've since then gone back again and again to that lifetime as Hans. I had a twin sister called Clara, and we were experimented on by what I call Mengele, but could have been any kind of Nazi, which was electric shocks, and my sister Clara died under that experimentation by the Nazis. So I then went on to work in the camps and ended up in Velversberg. So I'm guessing as SS, but this is where I hate the judgment of people, because obviously if I've been experimented on, I'm aware of the evil there. So it's curious. It's really curious. But so there is, I believe, a breakaway civilization that are connected to that group, those individuals that were in World War II experimenting with a lot of different things. I wouldn't go as far as Joseph Farrell and say that they're the ones in the light ships. Not at all. I've been in the light ships and they are from different star systems. So, but I do believe they have a place in the astral realm for sure. And that is still a sect or a cult. I'm certainly not part of that sect or cult. So going back to the Black Mirror, so then I'd got to the point where I was pretty tired and I didn't want to go any further. So this is the Halls of Amenti. Then you come out the same way. You sit on the crystal and you go up and then you come out. Then you come out of the crater and then leave the mountains. And then you go back to the heart of the Buddha, then descend through his feet and out into the lower world where you reconnect with your power animal. And then go through the caves of Shiva and up in the crystalline lift to the portal, and then through the portal, remembering to lock it, and then through the water. And then you come back to the third dimension. So this is how you can find out information about yourself, about others, just by going into the Halls of Amenti. One day I will do a long vlog where I will try and take everybody on a journey. That takes so much energy to bring somebody with you on a journey like that. It's very easy to go by yourself, but when you take somebody else, it takes so much psychic energy. You literally have to pull them and lift them. It's like lifting a whole person, and it is not worth doing because it can make you seriously ill. I tried it recently and I won't do it again because it's not worth it, and I don't think it's what Spirit wants me to do. That's another thing that you can find out in these different regions of the lower world and the upper world. I'll do the upper world tomorrow. Is what does Spirit want from you? What are you supposed to be doing? It's really dark days ahead, so I think everybody that is listening to this that does have that higher consciousness, it is for a reason. A deep darkness has entered into the planet and it will not go back to the way it was before. It will only spread, and there's some really dark times ahead. I'm always shocked when I see people writing about how it's going to be a golden age. It's not. We're in end time, so the third density won't exist fairly soon, and I think that will be a blessing, because this is a place where children come and get tortured. This is a place where children come and get sexually abused. This is a place where children come and get emaciated. This isn't a good place. It's an evil place, and so much evil can be done in a fleshy body that when you're out of a fleshy body in the astral, it's completely different. For instance, your thoughts are read by those around you. So all this fuss that human beings make over privacy this, privacy that, when you're in the astral, which everybody is going to go to, your fleshy body is very temporary. Then when you jump out of that, when it grows too old or too sick to hold you, you will go to the astral. And in the astral, thoughts aren't private. People can hear your thoughts. When I first started going astral many years ago, it's quite it's quite something to get used to, and especially when you interact with entities that may come to you or passing, and you interact with them, the fact that you can, well, the only way really is to interact with them telepathically, and it's quite interesting because the penny drops that your thoughts aren't private, and you kind of test it by, saying all sorts of things to them, and it's kind of a new, interesting phenomena that thoughts aren't private. And then in the astral, you're open to literally anybody you interact with. So this is why people that say they love people in the physical world and get to the astral and then they meet them again, their love doesn't last because it's not, there are things about the person they've held back, or they're, they've done things against them and they become known. So love is a different thing on the astral and higher. It's different. It takes a different shape. Which brings me to the fact I asked about love and why hadn't I felt love, and I was shown somebody and told that they loved you as deep as the red of a ruby, the jewels in the crown of a king, and it shocked me because it was somebody that I had cared about but felt rejected by. So it's strange that sometimes people do have a lot of feeling but they can't for some reason express it or let it out or let it be seen. It's a force that scares them. So this is another reason for visiting the halls of Amenti, where you can, even at the edge of it, find out so much. I'm going to end it here and thank you for listening.